All right, down the bottom here, we are going to move on to a triangular prism. A triangular prism. So looking at our triangular prism, we see that it has top and bottom, right? Our two bases are triangles and the three sides are rectangles. So let's get a triangular prism here by starting with our base, which is the triangle. Again, if you're having trouble, use your ruler to help you make those lines nice and straight. Then, just like our rectangular prism, from the corner, diagonal, make it parallel, check to see that the distance is even, diagonal. Here's the trick. This line, this edge is the one that is going to be parallel here because this and this are matching, okay? So you don't want to match this diagonal here. You want it to be this diagonal. So I'm going to use my ruler to slide it down, create my diagonal line, and I have a little extra. Here we go, triangular prism. Now we're going to try that triangular prism going the other way. Right now we have it this way. We're going to try to make it going this way. So I want you to add another triangle. This time we're going to go the other direction. We're going to come off the left side. And I'm going to make my angle a little bit more shallow. There we go. Line it up, make it even. Okay, now just like before, I don't just want to connect the lines. That should look wrong. These two lines right here and right here are coming together. We don't want that. We want them parallel. So do not just try to draw a line to connect it. If this is your angle that you're working on, slide it over. Now, if it's short, you would have a short block of cheese. Or you can slide it back further to make your prism longer. That's up to you. You can make it however long you want. When you have your length, you will erase whatever's left over. And there's your triangular prisms. Now moving on from triangular prisms, we are going to do one more shape, which is our pyramid shape, okay? You have two pyramids. We are going to be drawing a square-based pyramid. You're actually not going to see the square, but we're going to be drawing it from a square-based pyramid. Because if I hold up my triangular prism right now, we are going to show you that later. It's two sides. So right now, I only want you to be looking at your square-based prism. Looking at your square-based prism, we see that the base is a square. Like I said, we're not even going to see that part. And the faces are triangles. So when we have our pyramid, all of those triangles meet at the top, at the vertex, right? Your triangles should all come together. So from our pyramid, we're going to start with a vertice at the top. Just a dot, fancy word. Then you're going to create your first triangle face. Now you need to make sure that your bottom is horizontal. It should not be slanting down. You want a horizontal base. So this line is going straight across. Then, just like our other shapes, pick a corner, kick it up, get your diagonal going. Then from the tippy top of your point, you're going to come down on a diagonal to meet your baseline, erase whatever is left over. So this would be a rectangular or square prism for your pyramid, because that would be the back of it if you could see through it. Now we're going to look at this, instead of looking at it straight this time, we're going to look at it from the edge. Now when you look at it from the edge, you have one straight and two diagonals. So let's try it that way. Make your vertice, draw a line that goes straight down. Now this time, this point right here is going to be this at the center. So this time, you're going to create a V shape at the bottom. And I'm doing that because if you look at your pyramid, at your prism, right? Here's your paper one. If you look at it like this, it's creating a V. So I'm going to create a diagonal going up to the left and a diagonal going up to the right. Try to make them even. Since we are doing a square base, they should be even. Then coming from your vertice, you will come down to your diagonal and down to your diagonal. So this is another way that you would have a square based pyramid. Again, the spelling for you is already there. Let's work with a triangular base pyramid, which you're going to notice looks exactly the same. So triangular base pyramid, if you're looking at it from the front, you won't see much of the side. If you're looking at it from the edge, you will see the V. The V may be a little bit more drastic because the angle is shorter. So this time, our V is going to be a skinnier V. And then you can draw it down and down. And if this was see-through, you would see the back edge. And this is your triangular based pyramid. So those are all of our shapes that have the flat edges. We are going to move on to do a cylinder. Now a cylinder has a circular top, a circular bottom, and the side is actually a rectangle that wraps around the side. So you can tell that by taking a sheet of paper or your notebook or any type of rectangular shape and just curving it up, you will end up with a cylinder. So it's a rectangle that wraps around. You should have noticed that when we were making our paper forms, that we started off with our rectangle. So because if we look at it as a circle, you can't see the sides. You're going to be looking at those verticals, and that changes the shape of the top. What happens to the circle? It starts to look more and more like an oval as you turn it. And the reason we're turning it is because of perspective. So if you have your verticals, two vertical lines, try to make them even. That's better. And if they're not totally even, you can just erase whatever's left over. Because this shape is round, instead of adding a flat bottom and a flat top, which would give us a rectangle, we need to add curved shapes and curved lines. So the base of my cylinder is a circle, and the edge of a circle is curved. So when I'm drawing the edge of my cylinder, it should be curved like a smiley face all the way across. Now the top of my cylinder will share that same curve, share the same curve. But this time it's going to continue, that curve's going to continue around to make the oval. And that is your cylinder. So your cylinder can be tall or skinny, depending on how close together you put your lines. If you have your lines very close together, remember you don't need the extra if they're not the same. So when you make your curve, if you have leftover, just erase it. And then at the top here, you would have the same curve, and it appears to be an oval because of perspective. If we had it as the circle, you wouldn't see the sides. When you see the sides, an oval shape appears at the top. So you can use your paper cylinder to find that curve. Last shape we are going to be doing is the cone. Okay, now your cone has a circular base. Again, when you're looking at it from the side, you won't see that. Our cone shape, just like a pyramid, has a vertice at the top. So you can start with that point. You will come down like a triangle. And again, because the bottom, the base is a circle, The line edge will be a curve. If it's a straight line, it will appear to be a triangle. To make it into a cone shape, you are going to curve the bottom. And if it was see-through, that bottom would appear to be an oval, again, because of perspective. That is our cone. Now your cone can be wider like that, or if you want to try it upside down here, you can make a skinny cone, like a ice cream cone, where you would have the shape like that. So either way, it will be a cone. You do not have to do the dotted line. I'm just trying to show you what it would look like if you could see through it. Finally, a shape that we do not have, but you probably grabbed one from home, you should have, is our sphere. A sphere is a ball, so you just needed to find something round. Now we do not have a paper shape for that because you cannot make a sphere out of folding or bending paper. So a sphere is simply a circle. You can use something to trace if you want to make your circle perfect, or you can just go ahead and try to make the best circle you can make. Now, since we can't see through our sphere, but you can see this contour line that bends around it, like the earth. So we can't really see through it, but to show that it's round, we're going to add a curve to the front. And again, if it was see-through, you would see through the back. And that is our sphere. So that's it for your three-dimensional shapes. These are your shape practices. You're going to take a picture just like this to submit to Google Classroom. After you are done with that, next week we're going to learn about value and shading. So if you want to move on while it's still fresh in your brain, pick one of the shapes that you thought you did the best with, or just that you like to use again. And you're going to draw one larger on the next page. It doesn't have to be gigantic. When I say larger, I just mean a little bigger than what we've been doing. It does not have to fill the whole page. I'm going to work here with a cube. So I start with my square. Decide which way your cube is going to go, whether it's going to come up or down. I'm going to have it come down this time. Parallel, parallel, parallel. And then vertical, vertical, vertical. Oop, that moved. I can see that that's not quite vertical. There we go. Horizontal, horizontal, horizontal. So here is my cube. Just so I have some practice for next week. We will be adding value and shading to these. So you can even try it with a few other shapes if you'd like. I'm also going to do a cylinder down here. But this is just on the next page. You do not need to submit a picture of this yet. But while it's fresh in your brain, if you wanted to draw your shape for next week today, you can. Otherwise, you can draw it when it's assigned next week. I will go over these directions then, because we will be adding shading to some of these shapes. All right, so this is all you have to submit into Google Classroom as a picture of your practice pages. But while it's fresh in your brain, if you wanted to do your larger shape drawings today, that's fine. If not, that's also fine. And if you really want to, you can also just try more than one shape. I'm tracing my cylinder here, but it would be a sphere because it's just a circle. All right, and that's it. I hope that you were impressed with how well your drawings of 3D shapes came out, and I will see you next time when we talk about shading.